Hey there, everybody. There's something I almost forgot about that I thought might be kind of relevant. So this might be a little ghost story this time rather than a vision story now. Just for the fact that maybe a few videos or so ago, I did a tour of Big Fork. I showed you the house I was living in, where in 1983, I had a vision where I was being shown myself living in the future. So as if I was looking out the neighbor's window and into Rosie's backyard in 2010. And so that was kind of a heavy year for me, 2010. That spring seemed like I was getting a lot of, I don't know, psychic or spiritual activity. And around that time, I was just, kind of stressed out over it and just going, what's going on? What's wrong with me? And that's when I sensed that Howard Clearlight was communicating with me, and he seemed to have some good insight. Now, before this, I ended up moving to Montana to stay with Rosie Clearlight because her husband Howard had died, and so this is the third husband she was married to. It was probably one of the longest and most meaningful relationships she's had, as far as marriages go up to that point. And she kept feeling that he was around, that's what she would say. And so I ended up taking over his old bedroom. And a funny thing that occurred there is so I was kind of being sarcastic, I'm like getting into bed, and I was noticing that this alarm clock was just making so much light in the room. Like, sheesh, definitely not going to see any ghosts with all that light, right? So I was laying down, getting ready to go to sleep, and I was just about to fall asleep too. And it sounded like somebody was in the hall, and they just went boom and stomped their foot like they were teasing me because they knew what I was thinking. Like there was the ghost could hear my thoughts. Like, you might not see one, but you can still hear one. And then later on, my mom came to live with us, and she ended up in that room, and she also kept thinking that there was somebody in the hall, either stomping on the floor, or I don't know if they were pounding once or as if they were knocking, but she kept feeling like there was a ghost in the hall trying to get her attention, and she just assumed it had to be Howard, so she'd be like, "Knock it off, Howard." So anyways, we felt that maybe there was somebody there making sound, to let us know that he's there. Rosie, again, felt that he's been with us at least until she met Papa Smurf. And then, so anyways, this was a really heavy time for me, I came down with a really bad case of pneumonia. And so with that, my lungs were getting really crudted up. And so I think it was kind of making me very delirious. It was putting me into a state of delirium. In fact, I have a little song to go with that. I'm in a state of delirium. Oh, ooh. And ironically, this was right when Bill Lieb's girlfriend put me in touch with him, like it was weird. It was like I was being put in touch with Bill Lieb. I was reliving all this all these time slips. Like I was catching, there was like at least 4 different ones that I caught up to, like the one from 1983, there was one from 2006, there was one from like, just, like the year before, and it was all coming together. It was like, whew, major psychic download, and yeah, so I was taking a hot bath, and I'm just trying to get over the pneumonia. And I'm just thinking, man, why am I being put through all this weird ass shit? What's up with all this, it's torture. Why am I being put through all this, torture or whatever? It's mental torture because, being, I'm catching up with all this visionary stuff. And then, and in a roundabout way, I was really only being put in touch with Bill Lieb to pick a fight with me, because then this girl started coming back at me with, if you ever call his number again, we're going to call the police. So it was really stressing me out. And I don't know, I was just really just sitting in there contemplating about all the things that were stressing me out. And it seemed as if Howard was standing just outside the door, and the door was closed, and it felt like he was there, and I felt like I could hear him clearly communicating. Think about who's been making you eat their shit, Jody. Think about who's been making you eat their shit. And the funny thing is I kept smelling like a shitty smell. Like it just seemed like I smelled it at the house. I smelled it where I was working. And I'm just like, why do I keep smelling that poop smell? And I almost thought maybe this maybe the ghost was making me smell it. I don't know. Maybe he was making me smell that shit. So I would think about who was making me eat their shit, right? And so, with that in mind, I kind of wonder how much influence Howard Clearlight has in my psyche, you know. So I realized, hey, you know, he was able to communicate with me telepathically on more than one occasion, and this is somebody who was a very serious Zen person, and I'd mentioned before that Howard was supposedly the first American person to run a Zen monastery. So if you go to Tassajara, you might see Howard Clearlight's plaque there. So that's where I kind of wonder if this has any impact on him crossing over and, you know, being able to communicate. And so we kind of felt that I kind of sometimes think, you know, coming to Montana might be part of my, you know, blessing. You know, maybe, you know, like Howard and Rosie had the inclination to move here for some reason, and sort of reeling me in and bringing me here has a really great and positive purpose. So like I've been saying, it seems as if going through all this visionary stuff drove me to move to Montana to be with Rosie, because she's the only person who seemed to understand me and just gave me the freedom to just be how I am and talk about what I like. So I wanted to share a picture quickly with you of how. So these are the only pictures I have, and I think I'd like to keep these just because he was a special little part of my life. And you know, I think I really only met him one time down in Denver. So I think maybe 96 or 97. So him and Rosie came and stayed the night with me because they were getting ready to move out to the other side of the mountains near Grand Junction, and then they eventually moved to Montana. So when I met him, you know, we all camped out at my apartment, and funny thing is I was really into frontline assembly at the time, and I was listening to some maybe like a mellower, really electronic-y sounding remix. I can't remember which track I was into, but which single that was. But it was cool because you know, we got up and left and came back, and when we sat down to eat our pizzas and stuff, Howard was like, hey, you got any more of that good music? So he's a very musically inclined person. He was an artistically talented person, you know. But he also had a problem with alcohol, too. So even though he was such a high-minded person, that was his weakness. Sometimes he would have binges, and just it would kind of destroy it. Just, you know, it was a really rough part of their relationship. So that's where, you know, with my mom coming up there, she also had a problem with alcohol, and a lot of the times that she was hearing noises coming from who she thought was Howard was when she was drinking. So maybe he's like in there going, knock it off, you asshole. Like he's probably letting her know maybe she shouldn't be doing that so much, because that's you know, been his issue, right? So who knows? Maybe we were being visited by the spirit of Howard Clearlight, and I kind of wonder to what extent he's been providing guidance and how far that goes back. After all, first time I met Rosie and Howard was in the visionary state when I was a 6-year-old kid. So that's kind of special. But I didn't really have a long-term relationship. Like, we met each other briefly, and we were able to make a psychic connection. And later on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I inherited from Howard and Rosie as well. So you guys, I hope you're enjoying my stories and my insights. So take care. I'll talk to you soon.